Oh,
Thinking about it. Okay.
okay, call the meeting to order. Could we just have a moment of silence to contemplate what we're doing tonight? And then call the roll. Okay, can we call the roll, please?
Sure. City Council President Ed Cameron,
Here,
present virtually.
Yeah, muted.
you can hear me okay? Hello,
Sound is on. Ed,
I can hear-
Chat.
I can hear you all fine. Maybe turn up your volume on your end.
Ed, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Why don't we come back around? Why don't we do that?
Okay, all right, I'm gonna continue on, James Conley,
Here.
Kristen Donahue,
Here.
Gary Gorski,
Here.
Christian Hansen,
Here.
Sarah Holden. Here. Caroline McCarthy.
Here.
Stephen Moore.
Here.
Sarah Spalding,
Here.
Mayor Sean Reardon,
Here.
Madeline Witten.
Here. He didn't decide. He dropped his hand.
Okay. All right.
We'll be ready.
Okay.
Well set. Okay, we would like to proceed to public comment. Who would like to comment first? Don't be shy. Any public comment at all? Okay. No public comment. And I guess we will go to the request to release executive session minutes. Is that?
Yes. I'd like to invite Andrew Levine to give us an update on the status of this.
Hey, everybody. So there is I know it's on your agenda, a request to release minutes from executive session. I just checked in with the city solicitor just to find out on the process on this. Of course, it's up to the board how they want to proceed. What the city solicitor said was that executive session minutes are eligible to be released when the reason for executive session has passed. So say if you went into executive session to discuss active litigation and that litigation has been resolved, it's a good time to release those minutes. If you were discussing something around, say, a personnel matter or something else, if that reason for executive session still exists, then those minutes can still stay, under the protection of executive session. The other thing that I'll say is that to discuss executive session minutes and to vote on them and approve of them as a group, you should be doing that in executive session. So that's an option available to you as well to go over those executive session minutes in executive session, which is something you could do in a future meeting. So I'll leave it there. It's an update from how the process works, and the city solicitor, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does it make sense then to have an executive session after the close of the regular meeting to discuss that issue?
I think that's an option available to this board.
So otherwise we can't really do it.
Hello.
So table that for the moment until the meeting concludes and we can have an executive session to discuss.
And you would need to post that executive session in advance, so we'll do it at your next meeting.
Another month, okay.
Or at a special meeting.
We can
if you
call.
want to.
Yeah.
Could do a special meeting. Oh, let's do a special.
Just an executive session, you could do that. Like at a later date. If you don't want to wait a month.
Does anybody have any feeling about whether they want to wait a month or do it quicker?
Did we have minutes of the executive session? I didn't review them.
Yes.
We had not seen.
Have they been circulated? Because you would discuss them, review them in executive session.
Okay, so we'd have to have an executive session to discuss both. Whether we're going to release June 7th, 2023, and also to approve the. April 17th. Executive session.
If minutes have been approved already at the June meeting, I don't know if they have, but if those were ever approved in executive session, you feel like now you could release them, you could discuss that outside of executive session. But I'm not trying to confuse us, I promise.
I will have to determine whether,
Those
personally, I started in November, so I don't know if there was an executive session. Post June 7th, so.
I don't believe there was, but there wasn't.
Well,
So you'd have to approve those minutes in executive session.
So does anybody have a sense, we can already do it, should we wait till the next meeting to do it? Board members?
I just said. I don't want to set a precedent of releasing minutes for the executive session. At some point in the future, we may have an executive session where we don't want to. You know, someone can say what you did for that. I just feel comfortable doing that.
We can discuss that at the executive session meeting, you know,
Okay.
so. My thought would be just do it next month. So you're
Yeah.
anxious to do this.
Yeah, I would say next month probably makes a lot of sense. I do think I don't think we're allowed to send those minutes around electronically. I think those would be handed out in the executive session.
Okay,
yes.
We would review it there, make any edits, and then we'd have to be decided what actually can be shared, and I would probably have to bring in the city solicitor on that as well. As far as if anything needed to be redacted if it was personnel,
They can help us.
they can help us with
Yeah,
that, yeah. So it might be we decide in that meeting what can be. What we want to do as far as sharing those minutes, and then I think we'd have to involve the city solicitor and actually looking at. What the notes are and what actually could be public.
So unless we met during the summer, we wouldn't.
It's gonna take a little bit, yeah. Or we can do a special meeting. Yeah,
Otherwise, it would be September before our next meeting.
oh, right, because we have time off, yeah.
Well, there may be a need for. Special meeting in July. For other reasons.
should we do that in July, should we do that in June?
Oh, well, we can have an executive session, special, at the June 26th meeting, we can have an executive session to discuss those minutes.
Okay. Yeah, sound all right to the board? Okay. All right. And then we have the approval of previous meeting minutes, April 17th,
I sent my corrections to Kevin today.
okay? With Gary's corrections, can we get a motion to approve them? Second,
Second.
Students.
everybody in favor?
We can roll call.
You want a roll call?
Okay,
All right,
Jim Conley,
yes,
Kristen Donahue,
Yes.
Gary Gorski,
Yes.
Christian Hansen.
Yes.
Sarah Holden.
Yes.
Caroline McCarthy.
Yes.
Stephen Moore,
Yes.
Sarah Spalding,
Yes.
Mayor Sean Reardon,
Sorry, present,
yes or no?
I wasn't here for that meeting,
Oh,
so I can vote present or abstain.
okay. Madeline.
Yeah,
Witten.
You can hear me.
Okay,
We have Ed Cameron on line too.
Yes, if you can hear me.
can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Evan,
Hello?
You want to use the chat function instead of the,
He might be in the car.
Audio?
I don't know that, but like that might be why you can't. Chat.
that's there. I won't read anything better.
okay. Next meeting date, June 26, 2024. And then we have the librarian report from the head librarian.
Okay. I'd like to focus my budget discussion on the FY 25 budget development. The FY 25 library budget workshop will be on, or we will be participating in the library workshop, excuse me. We'll be participating in the budget workshop scheduled for Wednesday, June 12th. That is the social services segment of the city departments. So we'll be with the COA, and a few others. So we'll be discussing the city council will be walking through our budget, and if they have any questions or need clarification, I'll provide it then. I had a meeting regarding the capital improvement plan. The numbers for the library projects have been updated for FY 25. The estimated cost for the HVAC boiler replacement has been updated to 250,000. The let's see, the front wall and masonry project has been updated to 100,000. The front lobby tile for replacement, 25,000, and the ceiling restoration in the 1890 edition is 50,000. So the ceiling restoration is potentially CPA funding could be used for this ceiling restoration because it is a restoration, not a repair or maintenance. The front lobby, the tile replacement could be done with a number of, the building fund, the money we get from the state, plus any gift fund amounts that we have. So that the number of ways it could be, plus any free cash or whatever the money the city would love to contribute to that would be also. But the HVAC boiler replacement, that is, we've already kind of said that, or I've indicated that we will allocate money from this that we get from the state, from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners to help mitigate that cost to the city. And right now, it looks like that's where those projects stand at the moment. If the city council chooses to move on any of those, then we'll have more discussions about them. Okay. Any questions regarding that? Yes, Steve.
This is the 1890 edition, right? This.
Yes, above here in the ceiling.
So it's above, because this ceiling looks good.
Yeah, yes, the copper ceiling, there's some deterioration. So it just needs some restoration work. But that's over the teen loft area. Any other questions? I'll move on to the library statistics. Attendance this month was 10,698. The FY average is 10,888. But that was for April. Sometimes during April vacation, we have a little bit of a dip in terms of attendance, but it picks right back up in May and June. Circulation this month, 24,287, both physical and digital items. The average for this year is 24,083. So we are above the average, which is expected as people are gearing up for their summer reading, and so they're finding more time to read. Any questions or comments about the statistics? Yes.
The ILL items,
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's MDLC and Comcat combined,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
that's it, like no WorldCat, no, just those two.
If they actually WorldCat, Comcat, and MPLC are combined
Okay,
for that, we rarely do any WorldCat, but that is available.
and then the last is items cataloged,
Yes,
and that would be distinct from like acquired.
Yes.
That could be recataloging or,
it could be
Back
recataloging,
cataloging.
it could be items that were previous, that we had in the building that were previously uncatalogued.
right, okay.
So it's a combination. Anything else? Okay, all right, I'll move on to buildings and grounds. This week, you notice the room's a little warm. That's because the building is in the process of going through its conversion, both the spring conversion from heating to cooling. Our mechanical is in the process of doing that. So hopefully within the next few days, we'll start feeling the more cooler air conditioned air. It's just right now, it's just kind of, there's not a lot of air movement because of the switch over.
I thought you were trying to sell us on the HVAC. Which made a lot of sense.
No. No need to torture us all for that. But that will be concluded by, hopefully by the end of this week, and the building will take on its kind of summer atmosphere. Okay, project that I mentioned last month, which was the hearing assisted listening system. All of the components are installed. One aspect of the system, the hearing loop, we ran into a little snag that was external to the building and not because of the library itself. When they came to test the building, they have this meter that tests electrical interference. And when they came to originally test the building, it was negligible. So they felt that this room was a good candidate for the hearing loop. And so we scheduled the project. And then when they came to install the hearing loop components, they went to try to calibrate the system and pulled out that meter, and the interference was off the charts. What they have determined is a possible external issue is that over here on Prince Place, there is an electrical pole with a transformer. As you get closer to the transformer, the level of interference gets much greater. So Shanahan Sound, the vendor that installed the system, we're working with them to get a report that will illustrate that level of interference. And then I will give that to city administration, and then they will work with National Grid to address the issue. Shanahan Sound will come back once the interference is gone and calibrate the hearing loop system. In the meantime, we do have the other component, the frequency modulated or FM system. It's similar to what's used in City Hall and at the Senior Center. That portion of the system is ready to go. We just have to conduct the staff training on how to turn the system on, how to help people put the components on so they can use it with their hearing aids. And so when that training is done, then we begin the marketing and launch of the availability of that system. So our high-tech system is dealing with a little interference. Our, I don't want to say low-tech, but system that we're normally used to seeing in other buildings is ready to go. So yes,
Was the transformer installed between the time they tested it?
no.
What?
What the technician said could be a potential issue is that the transformer could be degrading. The shielding on the transformer could be degrading and then allowing the electrical interference to come out.
Assuming they dealt with this before.
The
Shanahan.
Shanahan has dealt with this before, yeah.
And they're confident they can resolve the issue.
Well, it's not Shanahan that will resolve the issue, it'll have to be National Grid. Because it's National Grid's transformer. They can't compensate for the electrical interference that is emitting from the transformer. So it'll be up to National Grid to investigate, repair, and or resolve the issue. But I've spoken with Andrew, and he said that he's, once we get the report, then he can start working with National Grid, so. Any other questions? Okay. I didn't realize when I brought up, bright spots last month that we were going to have so many. So, I hope you enjoyed reading them. I'm definitely not going to be reading them aloud. I just wanted to I was very, pleased, that, you know, I was very thankful that, Mary was willing to type these up for me now. I'm not a great typist, so this would have taken me a while. And again, I just wanted to reiterate that I think it's important that you hear so many, you know, channels of what people are saying about the library in different ways, but it's nice to hear some of the things that patrons who use the library, come into the library, are saying about the staff as a whole, or about individuals. So we'll continue to do this, and we'll be able to hear another avenue of, you know, kind of understanding of how the community is seeing the work that is being done here. So any questions or comments about what was transmitted about the bright spots?
Kevin, I did have a question. Will those bright spots eventually be included with the minutes so that the public can see them if they were to read the minutes?
They could be,
I don't know if
Just
the staff
have-
to think of that. I guess that's.
I could inquire, we could do, you know, kind of a temperature taking to see if that, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, moving on from bright spots. We have a new staff librarian for Kids and Teen Services. She is Sienna Willis. Sienna has been a member of the Adult Services Department, working primarily at the reference desk. Little did I know, I found this out when she applied for the position, that she had a lot of experience working with young children. And that, you know, she worked in a daycare, and so she was like, had been childed out, so to speak. But when she started working in the children's room, she realized that, you know, I really like working with the kids. I think this is a real, you know, and then when she had the opportunity, she was like, I could do this. And her interview was awesome. She just spoke so articulately about what she hoped to do, her experience that she had, and it just fits in so well with what they're hoping to do in the children's department. So we're now in the process of looking for a new staff librarian for adult services. And right now it's currently in the internal search phase, which means that it's open to union employees, and that internal search process will conclude on the 28th of May. And then if there aren't any internal candidates that are qualified or no one applies, we will go externally. Again, using our, you know, typical avenues of advertising that Donna Dronach knows well. So that, we're very excited about that. So is Sienna, and, you know, the staff is anxious to see who will be filling that spot. And again, looking to hire someone qualified candidate to do that in adult services. Any questions or comments about that?
Is that internal search just for libraries, for the library, or is it any union member?
It is any union member in the local ASME. That's actually how we got Lisa McGinnis. She had been employed in youth services and decided she wanted to go for the position. So who knows? We may have a budding adult services librarian just out there working at the city somewhere. Who knows? Have to wait and see.
But we have to post that job.
Yeah.
First before we.
Just want to make sure. Okay. All right, if there are no further questions about personnel, at this point, we're in the policy section. And where, I said. I transmitted to you, about, three weeks ago, a copy of the, version of the volunteer program that both the union and the libraries, the union, I guess, officers, as well as the library union staff, all voted in favor to move this to your review. A couple of things one thing I wanted to bring to your attention. Jessica and I marveled at the fact that after numerous looks through the page where it talks about position description for children's and teen services, under essential functions, we forgot the word by. Under all essential functions performed by the student. So I've inserted that already, so if that was one of your comments, it's been addressed.
I had a comment in the same section.
Oh, okay.
Where in the third sentence where it says.
Steve, could you speak up just a little bit if you could, please?
The third sentence where it says time spent on, that should be spent.
Spent. Mhm.
And under the borrower or the, I can't read the wrong thing. The other job description that says purpose, and the purpose volunteers is misspelled.
Oh, is that volunteers?
That's
It's the volunteers.
We corrected it and then somehow in the last edition, we ended up with the previous one. I was like, no, it's haunting us.
Tears. Oh, I didn't make that.
You fixed it already.
Oh, okay.
We've known about it for a while.
That has been addressed. Thank you, Steve.
I have a small edit if we're doing edits.
Where-
Let's go through it. And on the second page, under working environment, second sentence, would that be volunteers can expect to work in an environment?
Can expect. Volunteers can expect to work in an environment where.
Says can expect the work, maybe yours.
Oh, I think we may have fixed that one.
Oh, okay. And one more. On the procedures page, recruitment selection. The fourth bullet down. Prospective volunteers, etc. On that second line. Should it say and have an interview with this?
Yes, and have.
Fine.
All right.
So I didn't have any problems with the policy itself.
Mhm.
I'd have to say I was extremely disappointed in the fact that there were only 2 volunteer positions. One of them was Sheldon, which I can't say I'd be terribly interested in that.
I'm not sure if it is picking up, sorry, I just want to make sure.
And then, the team member of the board is fine, but is there any other positions that a volunteer can fill? Because I don't know what volunteers outside of the archival center did in the past, but I think they did more than Shelton. I'm not positive of that, but
Yes, can you speak to, outside of the archive center, is it just shopping?
It was mostly shopping. Some of the team volunteers had slightly more expanded tasks that they did. They provided assistance with programs, but they were below the age of 18. We had a volunteer who came and did some cleaning, but we have since been given a polite update that that is actually the job of maintenance workers. So that is not available and we are covered by the union, so that is not available as an offering.
I just maybe hope in the future we can find something a little more interesting.
So, this is a reminder, this, the union went through this and identified, that this, these items are the tasks that we had identified, the staff had, indicated that they were okay with it. Now, what is an option is, and I'm going to say that very specifically, a specific list of potential other tasks. If we go back and say, we want more, but you don't tell them what the more is, then Jessica and I will go back, we'll come up with a bunch of other things, and then we'll go through this process and extend this process, unfortunately, another couple of months. So what I recommend is if you want more, then we can discuss and create a list of specific things that you would like the union lawyers to look at and see if it comes in conflict with the union agreement. And if they find anything that, they want to put forth to the staff to say, okay, we've reviewed this. Are you okay with A or B? And then they can determine whether or not they feel that task A or B, of the list that you've given, that the union lawyers have said will not have an impact on the contract or the agreement or undermine the contract, then the staff can consider any of those items. So if you want to discuss potential tasks, I'm happy to write them down and transmit them. Jessica and I would insert them kind of in a bracketed format under that task position for the union to consider.
Well, I don't have anything in particular in mind, but just think that there could be something.
All right,
Oh, go ahead.
as a logistics question, there's the policy and then there's the job descriptions. So could the policy be approved if we're okay with the policy, and then job descriptions can be added over time?
From what I understand, last year, a policy was proposed, but was tabled because there was the desire to have the positions and the procedures and everything else flushed out in combination, so that there wasn't a paper dragon sitting in a file that had no teeth or didn't apply to anything. So I would recommend that, I would not recommend splitting them apart at the moment.
Well, could we approve the policy, approve the existing job descriptions and add job descriptions later? Additional job descriptions if we go through the process that you just outlined with the union. So there's nothing that says we can't add.
Right, yes.
Okay,
Yeah. We could always,
We can visit this.
yeah, we can always revisit the policy.
would we have to revisit it, or could we just approve another job description?
Well, we would come to come with a revision.
Okay,
Yeah, it would just, it would, anything that you wanted to add later would just come as a revision. We wouldn't have to rewrite the whole policy. But
For the,
yeah, any additions, task wise, would have to.
right, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
kind of make it an easy process.
Yeah.
For us to grow it,
Mhm.
if we can get approval from you.
Yeah, but one question I have from all these emails that keep getting circulated, have we changed now the hours on the archive room, or is it still open every day? If you want to go there.
Okay, as I explained in the board meeting back in February, the archive room is available for service. There are certain hours where we have asked that appointments be used instead of walk-ins. The rationale for this is there is a lot of work that has to be done in archives. There's a lot of cataloging. There is a lot of processing of items that were in the back room that were never processed or cataloged. So in order to do this and to make the collection more accessible, we have instituted 4 hours on Thursday in the morning as by appointment only, and Saturday as appointment only. We have added times in which the Archive Center was closed previously. We added them to the appointment only times. The noon to 1 hour, Monday through Fridays, and the 4 o'clock hour, Monday through Fridays, have been added. So we've added more hours where people can use the resources. We've changed and asked that if people wanted to use those hours, that they access them by appointment. So we have not reduced the number of hours that people can conduct research in archives. We have changed the ability of people to walk into the space freely. We asked for appointments so that the staff could prepare. The staff could work on those projects like catalog. Cataloging is a complex process, and you can't be in the midst of cataloging an item constantly wondering, is someone going to walk in the door? So those times are right now during the week, Monday through Friday. The only times that are by appointment only are the hours that we added, 12 to 1, 4 to 5, and Thursday from 9 to noon. Saturdays is a very difficult day for scheduling. And Saturdays and Thursdays were times when we identified there was the least amount of foot traffic. I am not saying that we will never have walk-in times on Saturdays, because we recognize there are specific times in the year where we have added people who live more permanently in the summer in Newburyport than they do in the wintertime. So we will be having special walk-in hours on Saturdays during those heightened times.
I think that's great. Thanks. I think we probably should circle back
Yeah.
to policy conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are two completely different issues. I was gonna say, I agree with what Steve said too, when I first saw the policy, so I do think in my head, I thought this was something we can get on the books and then hopefully revisit, work with staff and, you know, as we get people back into the building, you know, see where we go from there, but like any policy, of course, us as a body can add, you know, amendments and add to it as we get something in place, but that's where my head was at.
So Kevin, given the fairly limited opportunities there were to volunteer, like if patrons were interested in participating somehow in the archives, how would that look? Like what things could they do? Is there anything that would be an option for them to do?
In archives currently, no.
Okay, and we don't think there's any room there to allow patrons to participate somehow?
That would have to require further conversation with the staff.
Piggyback on that, is that something that's been is driven by the union requirements or union restrictions? I should say?
Typically, the projects and the tasks that were done in archives conflict with the union contract. That was identified, that those tasks that were completed, those projects that were completed, the way in which they were done and completed conflicted with the union contract.
But, yeah, and so I guess I'm wondering, is the staff, are they potentially or interested in seeing if there are ways to make space for patrons who want to volunteer their time?
I will have to have a conversation with them. I can't speak to that at the moment.
It certainly seems like there's interest on a part of the community. So,
Yes.
it would be great for that to work out and understand if there are restrictions and practicalities.
Yeah.
To consider. But I just want to make sure, and obviously you're aware. that-
I am very aware of the community desire. Yes.
Cause I guess I would have a hard time saying, let's go ahead and vote this into, policy. Being that there's this, like Gary said, there's this large enthusiasm for some role for patrons to participate in the archiving center. And being that the policy was on hold for about a year, to kind of echo Steve, it's a little disappointing to come back and then not have that mentioned at all in there. And I understand that the negotiation with the union, and with the library staff. But ultimately, like, as a voice with the community, I would love to see the ability to go back and say, at what point can we include some roles to accommodate the local cry for participation in that? So I guess my request is to not send it back to the drawing board, but as with anything, it's a negotiation, right? What can we give on a little bit in order to allow more space for these volunteers or patrons to contribute to the archives?
I am not opposed to having a conversation with staff and having them brainstorm possibilities that tasks that are not in conflict with the union contract.
Maybe they could be in conflict and we can get approval to do it anyway, from the union. You know, if something is in conflict with the contract. Couldn't we, I mean, Sheldon is in conflict with the contract, right? And the union agreed to us doing that. Volunteer doing it.
It's a concession. There's another concession. Okay. Well,
So I. You know, and
It is-
and asking me as a board member to come up with a list of tasks that a volunteer could do is. Probably not very helpful, because I don't know what those tasks are. It's the staff that get together and say, okay, we can allow this, and then go through the whole union process. I think that would be better than. Maybe some of us board members could come up with a list of tasks. I'm not.
okay, so I guess I want to understand where.
Sorry, before you, just to follow up, I'm assuming you've had those conversations
Yeah.
with the staff about what kind of participation patrons could have, right? And there. Am I safe to say that there isn't interest from the staff?
There's
Have
no
participation?
interest from the staff to have tasks performed that. Albeit they made the concession regarding Sheldon. There was no interest in having volunteers performing tasks other than Sheldon. That were in conflict and could undermine the union contract.
And so are there things that the patrons could do in terms of like answering questions or providing advice? Like, is that something?
That is technically research assistance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, and even as like a private entity saying, hey, I'm here to help, like,
Mhm.
I'm just a regular patron like you. I have an interest in this and a knowledge. Can I volunteer my time as a patron to assist you in your endeavors? Is that an acceptable?
If someone were there on a regular basis. Saying, hi, can I volunteer to help you with your research? I guess I'm trying to understand how you see that.
Yeah, I don't think that would be it. More like, there's a way for somebody to contact a series of volunteers. And have them, no, excuse me, series of patrons. And have them accompany somebody there to say, hey, this is how I've done it before. Completely separate from an organized program at the library. Its own entity that probably happens, right? I don't know.
I mean, as if they are not library volunteers. No problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're like going behind the counter and handling the artifacts, but if someone was there and said, I can point you in this direction, like, I'm sure that happens all the time. I don't know, but I'm sure.
Wouldn't
I'm
that be,
sure that's already happened.
would that be reference advice though?
Research assistant.
If there are not, if someone knows someone who has historical knowledge and says, hey, can you come with me to archives? Because I want your opinion on how to do my research. We have no reason to say to that pair who have organized themselves on their own, no, you can't do that. Because that's a friend helping a friend. Someone who is signed up to work specifically at the library as a volunteer who sits down in archives and waits for someone to come in and says, would you like some help with your research? That there's a difference. So if there were a, if, say, the Museum of Old Newbury had a program where they had citizen volunteers who wanted to assist people to do research, and they recognized that there were resources at the archive center, and they came in and said either an appointment or a walk-in time. I'm not, it's a friend helping a friend. It's another organization doing something good for somebody else. It doesn't impact the staff and their contract. They're not considered volunteers.
So
They're
if they were to
not
consider themselves like
library.
a club or something, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
dedicated volunteers who.
Yeah.
Wanted to come on their own at their own times, and they could
Here.
participate.
Dedicated, knowledgeable people of history, not volunteers. So that's-
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But they'd have to come during these hours. They couldn't just come in like on Tuesday or do that stuff.
They could make an appointment.
Yeah,
And
But I
during the
mean-
walk-in hours.
yeah, they come in at walking hours anytime.
Okay.
If they wanted to. If 12 o'clock was the only time that they could do it, and we had enough time to. Schedule the coverage. They can come in at 12 to 1. They come in on Thursday morning. They want, we just need to know if they're coming.
In terms of being able to pair these patrons who might be interested in helping out with. The other patrons who are coming here who might need help, for the library, would the library be able to? Share times when people have made appointments, not necessarily provide the information of the person who has made the appointment.
And patron searches are considered confidential.
The library couldn't say the time from 1 o'clock to 2 on from 2 to 2:30 on Saturday. We have an appointment.
Well, we're skirting their confidentiality of the patron coming in. They may not want assistance from someone else. They may want only assistance from the library staff. Well, we're making an assumption that just because someone's made an appointment, that they want outside help.
I guess I was trying to figure out if there patrons who do want to volunteer, how would they know when other patrons who might need the help are going to be in the house? If it's by appointment and
If we're part of the organization and the organization of that, and we have to sign these people up, and we have to then create a way of. Because if we're organizing them, we have to make sure that they're recorded. We have to make sure that we know who they are. We're essentially creating volunteers.
and so apologies if I got
Yeah.
too far afield with this. I guess I was just wondering if there's a way to let people who might want to show up to help know this would be a time when you could help. That's all. Not that they have to
Yeah,
be recorded,
no.
or they would simply just be walking in, right, friend to help a friend, type of thing. But if that's not practical.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's, because, you know, if someone who's made an appointment has a friend who is knowledgeable in history, they're welcome to bring them along.
Right, it's just trying to connect them to that friend.
Yeah, if we get involved and we're organizing it, and they'd have to be recognized as volunteers. And if we recognize them as volunteers, then we're right back at square one.
Guess in my imaginary scenario, you weren't taking on that responsibility, just letting people know that there wasn't a plan schedule. Again, I
Yeah.
completely understand, but if it's not worth
It's-
the time to have that conversation.
Well, the only way I could, yeah, again, if, let's say, the Museum of Old Newbury or the Customs House had had a knowledgeable resident who knows history, had like a knowledgeable historical person core, CORP, you know. And someone came in and said, hey, I understand, while I'm here, could I have somebody from the Customs House, historical core come in with me? Sure. Or the Museum of Old Newbury, historical core. Sure, they could come in. I mean, and we could, we could say, if in addition to the library staff, we know this civic organization exists to assist people. Would you like us to contact them with your request and have them assist you while you're here in addition to the staffers?
Yeah, I think in all those instances too, I mean, at the end of the day, they're working with a library staff.
Yeah.
So, like in my head, like if staff was overcommitted to other things and couldn't help these people, then that probably, there's a need then now, right? Then you start talking about, all right, do we need other people in here who could possibly help with this work? But
I guess I'm looking at it from the perspective of the patron, right? It seems
Yeah.
like there are a number of patrons that would like to participate.
Right.
And is there a way that we can, invite them to participate?
Without us being involved in the organization of it. Yes. If they're, like the example I said, if Ms. DeRoe or Mr.
James Russell.
Mr. Russell had an organized group of people that volunteered for either the Museum of Old Newbury or the Customs House Museum. And we could easily make that service available, let patrons know that this existed. And if they wanted to, contact them and say, hey, I'm doing research on this. I hear you have people that are knowledgeable and, I have an appointment on X day. Can someone come with me? In addition to the library staff person, could that person come?
it couldn't be the same thing at the library. The collection of knowledgeable historians who could be kind of tapped the same way that you're suggesting. The custom touch.
It looks too much like we are recruiting a core CORP of historical researchers.
Could we ask the union that?
We could, sure. We could ask that. I don't have that down.
I'm just double checking, a group of knowledgeable patrons. And then what next? Because the last, like, what do we want to do with these people?
Yeah, who could be available to assist with research should another patron need a knowledgeable set of eyes.
And the
Would be like a contact
interaction.
list possibly, right, if the patient who needs help, you could give them a contact list, maybe they could reach out to one of the people on the list.
The people in the community for babysitting and support and such.
We could always pose to the union, given that, you know, we have similar lists of other things. So,
Again, I'm just
Yeah.
following up on what Steve said.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand the archive tier system well enough to know this would be practical or not practical. Just trying to see if there are ways that we can include.
Well, if you did have that list and pointed a patron to that, so somebody on that list and they brought them in as a friend. Or is it because you directed them to them, that's,
yeah, we'd have to refer to the union to see what the union lawyers would say about that. Yeah. That's why I was trying to steer clear of the union by saying, well, maybe we could work with James Russell and Bethany Duro and say, you know, this is a great opportunity. It's a way for all three of us to collaborate. It's a way for all three of us to work together. It's a way for, people with a vast amount of, historical knowledge and, but again, they're nonprofit and don't have issues with, don't have limitations and the union contract that I am beholden to agree to. And it's an opportunity, that to create a system where people are able to do what they want to, to engage in research and be as helpful to, residents or visitors or what have you. So that the library staff member who's down there, either during appointment time or, during the walk-in hours, they're there to, to be able to, they would be the ones who would be the, have the custodial authority to handle the items, get them, make sure that they're handled properly. And we, have an additional person who's very knowledgeable about the city's history, about, genealogy and doing house histories and all of that stuff, who could be there as a way of assisting, as a way of providing additional information. And it's not, kind of, I'm happy to bring that idea to the union. But I'm thinking that maybe this is another way of doing it.
So, I mean, you mentioned the two museums, but this could also just be a group of.
Oh, they wanted to
people
self-organize.
who, yeah, self-organized,
Sure.
history club, whatever, in town, that if someone came to the archive and said, I'd really like some help, you could say.
Oh, we have this
We
great
have
group in
this
town.
great group in
Yeah.
town who is so helpful. Maybe you want to contact them.
Sure.
So I don't think, I mean, you're saying as part of the library, but I'm wondering if just being a self-organized
Yeah,
group
they could self-organize.
could also work. I
It
mean,
doesn't require,
And that-
That way, it's not, you know, they're not library volunteers, they're not in a situation where, you know. But they're able to, again, engage in the history and, you know. I was just thinking, having the established institutions would have the framework, the ability to, you know, structure a program of a core, so to speak.
Right.
And is that conversation in theory that you would have with the other two institutions, or is that?
I think there would be a discussion that we would have to have, you know, well, yes, we would bring it to the union, but if the establishment of something over it, you know, the Museum of Old Newbury and Customs House is, it's not, the library staff are not organized in it, they're not involved in it. You know, we would be referring them to a resource in the city. So it would be, it would, I'm not saying it's a way, it's a different way of looking at it. And we wouldn't be, the issue with the confidentiality wouldn't be an issue because that person would be reaching out to that group and saying, hey, I'm working on X, Y, and Z. There are resources at the Archive Center. Can you help me walk through them? Can you share your, you know, that's different than someone being in archives all the time.
Or vice versa, presumably somebody in the archive department could say, you know what, the Historical Society might be a better location for you to do this research.
Oh yeah, we've done that a lot. There's always been cross, you know, if the Museum of Newbury has material that we don't have, you know, we refer to them and also to the Customs House Museum. It's a regular, you know, regular practice. But yeah.
I think we have two options. We can have you go back and get some more information and come back to us. And we can table this policy, or we can decide to vote this policy in and it could be a group of shelvers who are very quiet up there, just waiting to get in. I don't know. Right? But I leave it up to the group whether they want to table the whole thing and wait, get some more info, or, you know, take a vote on what's been put together.
I just have one other question. It's nothing to do with the policy, but it's what we've been talking about. The hours in the archive center. If I came in the walk-in hours, say at 10 o'clock, and I wasn't done with my research at 12, can I stay even though it's from 12 to 1 is an appointment?
What happens at 12 is the staff are on lunch and the archive center closes. So you as a patron can't be in that space without a staff person because of liability issues.
But it's open from 12 to 1 by appointment. So
Yes.
isn't there a librarian there?
If you scheduled it,
Yes,
it's scheduled. It's
If-
not someone sitting there. Yeah, in the
if you
past,
knew that you wanted to come in at 10 o'clock and you could only come in at from 10 to 1 o'clock and you gave us a week to prepare. I'd drop somebody somewhere else and then put them in to have coverage. I can't just tell somebody, you have to work 8 hours at the library and you don't get any lunch. But with a week's warning, I can definitely make it happen.
Yeah, I guess if I'm walking, might not know a week ahead of time.
well, again,
Get away
we
from just-
we have been bolstering the information on the archives page about, you know, the specifics. You know, if you want to book an appointment during the 4 to 5 or the 12 to 1 hour, explaining that it's not just because it's closed, it's because we have to arrange our schedule. We have to arrange someone to be there because the library staff that are there are, you know, their contract requires that they have an hour off for lunch.
And I just thought there was gonna be somebody there.
No. In the past, archives was closed from 12 to 1 and 4 to 5. No one could be in there. I mean, if the archivist chose to eat her lunch in the back office, that was her choice. But it was supposed to be 12 to 1 for lunch. 4 to 5 was for projects, supposed to be for projects, so the archive center was closed. No patrons or researchers were supposed to be in the archive center from 4 to 5 at all. So what we've done is we've enabled people that if they know that they need to be able to do from 12 to 1 or 4 to 5, we've given them the opportunity. And it just, we need to be able to schedule that time. It's not just, so, yes. It requires a learning process, but once people understand it, people have been making appointments now. Actually, the previous archivist, Sharon, created the appointment system years ago. Was used.
Yeah, I didn't create it.
Oh, well, it was, sorry, it was attributed to you, so I just wanted to give you credit. So what I'm saying is that people have been, since we moved to appointment times, people from out of state have been happy to make appointments and have made appointments. People are in this area are very familiar with having to make appointments. You want to go to Haverhill, you have to make an appointment. You want to go to Amesbury, you have to make an appointment. You can't just walk into Haverhill's, local history area room. You can't, the same thing in Amesbury, you can't just walk in, you have to have an appointment. We are unique. Pleasantly unique to the historical researching community. We have many hours where people can just walk in without an appointment.
So I think we should vote on the policy rather than taking, knowing that we can change it.
Yeah.
Whenever we want.
And that there's a lot of interest in
Yes.
pushing forward for something broader.
And some people love Sheldon.
The question I want to ask you is, do you want to push forward the approval of this process and then have me bring something back for the union to consider?
I personally would like you to bring something back now, ahead of it. It's my own personal.
So you would rather I bring back something to the union to consider before we vote on the policy?
Correct.
But if we vote on it tonight, then very soon volunteers can come into the library. And if we don't, then they can't.
If you vote on the policy tonight, Jessica and I will move to the implementation stage. We cannot say tonight when volunteers will return to work in the library, but it begins the process of developing the orientation program, developing the training, making sure we've got all of the documents in place, ready to go. And we, we'll work on that. We work very hard to get this policy done. You don't want it, so. Volunteers will not return tomorrow.
But sooner if we vote to approve it. Does the whole board have to approve it for it to be approved?
For this policy, it's a simple majority. The policy can always be amended in the future. So if you vote to approve this, we can move forward with the implementation stage and get volunteers into the building sooner rather than later. Simultaneously, we can be going through the process of asking the union to review whatever you ask them to review. And at a later date, bring that back here for revision. And you would approve the revision, much like you would be approving this process by a simple majority vote.
And this whole idea of considering some sort of history club. That also would need to go to the union for review. As a courtesy even.
Well,
It's only,
yeah,
I'm still not really clear what the question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess we're thinking that if there was some, either a list of tiers that was presented to the library staff or was held at another site, you know, you can see the Walden area. And you could point to that, you could point patrons to that list.
If there was a list made by someone else, posted somewhere else. It's not. You don't have to vote at all.
yeah.
You don't have to even discuss it.
But the staff would. They could encourage patrons, would they encourage patrons, I guess that's what.
Yeah. If it is an established resource at a local historical organization, like the Museum of Old Newbury, or, you know, it's kind of like something we, you know, we,
Link to the
we would-
Newbury
yeah.
website, yeah.
yeah,
So if they have something on there, we're linking to them now.
I would say even though it sounds. Like it's hard to put it together, I would still bring it up to the union and just see, this is what we're hearing from the board.
Yeah.
Doesn't, we don't see how it fits, but just get a general impression on it.
yeah,
Better safe than sorry.
yes, yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. I do, I do get what you're saying. But in like my head too, I'm like, well, you know, we've got a council of aging and they have a stamp club and they have like whatever club, like. I don't know. You know, I know it's not the same because, you know, you're talking about actual like. You know, performing. Work duties, but if it's just a club that likes Newburyport history and likes, you know, wants to access the space. Again, I think that can be done outside of the library. too.
Exactly,
But-
we've done outside of the union, we've done,
But,
yeah.
okay.
So could we ask you just to check with the union and report back to us for the next meeting?
Sure, but do you want to have Jessica and I start the implementation stage on the current policy?
Yes.
Yeah, that needs a motion to vote.
Yeah,
I just have one more comment though,
Yeah.
like, I feel like, again, like, and not to harp on it, but like, I don't think that. Implementing the volunteer policy now is gonna, like, I don't think there's a lot of shelvers who are saying, oh, awesome, volunteer policy is bad, I just start shelving it now, right? Volunteer policy that this affects most are the archival folks who are helping, right? There's no mention of that in this policy, and I'd like to see if there's a way to get some concession from the union to include at least some of that.
Specific tasks, that's what-
I don't, again, to echo Steve, like, I'm not like qualified enough to say, oh yeah, you can do X, Y, and Z. I don't know, I just would like to see if it's a negotiation. Perhaps there can be a concession in some way.
and.
So
So,
I agree with Christian, and I don't agree, because
Next.
it would take. I agree that it would be nice to have that in there, but to get it in there will take months.
I don't agree. I think that to have the conversation with the union, I think that they were waiting for some contract to be done or something to be done, and that's why it took all this time. I think it could be on Monday, hey, we'd like to talk to you about this. Talk down, this is what we'd like. Sorry, you can't do that, or maybe you could do this instead. I don't,
Mayor, do you have any?
I
ideas?
just, my sense, Christian, is that that's already happened. And this is the policy that came out of that process that you're talking about. So that's why I lean towards taking a vote. I'm happy if it goes either way, but at least we have something on the books, and again, quiet group of shelvers up there. Might be willing to jump in and want to get involved. And then we get some more information, but I think you're right. I think this is months if you know, which is fine too, if we want to, if we're all okay with this going, you know, having a little back and forth with the union as well, but I think what's being described is, I think that's how we got to where we are right now, and they took a vote, and it was, you know, this was the result of that vote.
I'll make a motion to approve the volunteer policy.
Second.
Who won that one?
The mayor.
Oh, Mayor.
Go ahead.
We have a roll call?
Okay. All right, roll call. Okay, James Conley,
Yes.
Okay.
Kristen Donahue.
Yeah.
Gary Gorski,
Yes.
Christian Hansen, no. Sarah Holden,
Yes.
Caroline McCarthy,
Yes.
Stephen Moore,
Yes.
Sarah Spalding,
Yes.
Mayor Sean Reardon,
Yes.
Madeline Whitten.
Yes.
Okay. Two things that my next action regarding this is, A, Jessica and I will start the implementation process with regards to getting the volunteer program back up and running. Concurrently, we will see if we can engage in a conversation to get another concession so that we can revise the policy. Engage in a conversation with the union regarding that. Revise the policy, maybe add something that would be another concession. Like shuttle.
I would say for board members, if they have things that they think of after we leave here. I mean, I would send everything into Kevin and have, we should have a list of things that he's presenting
Yeah,
to.
because a list of things would be easier for them to kind of digest than an amorphous form. I will try to describe what you were thinking about, Christian, and I think I understand what you're talking about, but again, I just wanted, and what I'll do is I'll try to formulate it and I'll send it to you, so you can kind of go, yeah, this, no, and then we'll go through the process.
Kevin, I didn't take the time to do a full copy of it on that draft version, so I would have a chance to read that and send my copies.
Can I make the corrections that we did tonight, and then I'll send it to you? That way, you know, at least the ones that we got tonight are already corrected, you don't have to worry about those. Okay. 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 All right, moving back to community and outreach and community partnerships. In outreach this, in April, the library, there's a partnership with the Newburyport Public Schools PTO, where the Children's Department, facilitated the displaying of, Newburyport, Public School students' artwork. And I have to say, some of it is amazing. I was like going, wow, that was done by a ninth grader. I'm like, whoa. So very exciting. Those were out on the front of the building, on the windows. Very excited about that. Again, it's a way, it's, you know, showing how the library is a place in which people can engage, and also share what's going on in the community. In addition, another youth outreach opportunity that occurred, Bright Horizons Daycare on April. Yes, this really did happen on April 1st. There was Allison conducted something like a story time. It was a read aloud to she said 95 young people. So she really made a big impact there.
Wow.
I don't know if it was all at the same time. And then the home delivery service, again, great impact. 88 items were delivered to residents who were not able to come into the library. So very excited again to be able to share with you that. Some of our ongoing community partnerships with the Newburyport Recreation and Youth Services. I'm finally getting it. It's we had the walk-in hours last month with the city social worker, and also the youth council meetings are happening usually in this room right here. The Council on Aging, the library continues to facilitate the Next Chapter Book Club, which is a hybrid book club. They're seniors and the adult services librarian meet in the conference room at the senior center, but they also have an owl, much like our owl here. And there are a couple residents who are able to participate virtually. So it's a great opportunity there. One thing I did want to share is that I've been having had a great conversation with Sarah Landry, who's the director of the COA. While I was over there for the benefits fair. We really did she had some really great ideas, and I could see right away how the library could really have an impact on the work that she's trying to do there at the senior center. And so connected Sarah with Flor Gutierrez, and we're going to continue that conversation. Some of the things we're looking at potentially are doing tech classes at the senior center. And also arranging what we have with the Newburyport Rec and Youth Services, the social worker, having the Council on Aging outreach outreach person, I can't remember what her official title is, but having her regular hours here at the library. So much the same situation. Yeah. So again, we're looking at ways in which we can partner and, again, provide, library services elsewhere and help other people interact with other city services and here at the library. So I'm very excited about that. Any questions or comments about the outreach?
Yeah, question. Last Thursday was the volunteer fair for boards and commissions. Did we have someone from the library represent?
I saw it. I think I saw it at the table with library board of directors on. I guess technically I was there, so does that count?
Were you around the table?
I wasn't at the table. I didn't notice.
Do the people who do the home delivery, do they get reimbursed for mileage?
Yes. All right, and I apologize, I'm missing one of the last pages of my report.
I have it.
Oh.
That's fine.
That's why.
Sorry.
All right, moving on to programs. We had 47 programs with 755 attendees. I'm in the process, I'm going to try and flesh this out a little bit more and get a little bit, the information I'm getting from the department heads, I'm slowly figuring out how they're giving it to me, and I'm going to streamline it so I can get some of this information without a lot of digging. So I'm going to try and flesh this out for you in terms of how many were virtual, how many were in person, various other types of information. So I'm not just giving you the number of programs and the number of attendees. So I'm looking to start getting you that information in September. Because by that time I will have the form ready and I'll be getting all of the department heads information in the same format. Right now I'm getting it in 5 different ways. So that information will be a little bit more robust, a little more interesting than just numbers. Okay, any questions about programs or programming at the moment? We are gearing up. The excitement is building for summer reading, so that is going to be beginning sometime next month. So you'll be seeing a lot more program offerings in terms of just summer is a great time for programming here at the library. So very excited about that, and that will be starting next mid to late June. We'll move on to the calendar. Last month, the library was closed on Patriots Day. this upcoming month, we have a few calendar things to make you aware of. We will be closed Memorial Day weekend, that is including Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That is in the union contract, it's benefit that's spelled out there. On July 19th, that is Juneteenth, as a new state holiday. June 19th, it's Juneteenth, sorry. Did I reiterate myself, sorry. So the library will be closed on Wednesday, June 19th for Juneteenth. That is the reason why our meeting is on the 26th, because it was supposed to be on the 19th. Okay, we'll have a modified schedule on 2 days. Next week, on May 23rd, the city of Newburyport is having its employee appreciation event over at the senior center, Bresnahan School. The library will be closing at 4 p.m. so everyone will have an opportunity to attend. Because as I said in my email today, I'm quoting the mayor, there's all sorts of good stuff. It's a way of saying thank you. So thank you, Mayor, for organizing this. Is this the first annual?
Yeah, we haven't done this before. We got a grant through Maya, which is our insurance, but we were to get a grant and we decided to do this. That'd be great. We opened it up to all city employees.
Yeah, so everyone's been reminded, and we are closing at 4 p.m. on May 23rd. On June 12th, we are having our quarterly professional development event. That will occur between 9 and noon, and then from 12 to 1 is lunch. The library will be open on June 12th from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m.
What are you developing?
We're developing, it's skills related to, dealing about, let's see, establishing boundaries and, managing, long-term stress.
Can anybody come to that? Or is it just-
It is with, Maya, so Maya has worked this out, designed this specifically for the library, so.
Oh.
Good to know.
But if you wanted to come there, I'm sure we could make a, I think.
I could use that.
Okay, all right, any other questions or comments about this calendar schedule? Oh, just thank you, Mayor, for approving the FY25 calendar of holidays and stuff. Oh, yeah, appreciate that.
Yes. I would return that and say, thank you. I say both of you, this is your first time going through budget. Budget has been submitted. You'll have your budget hearing from city council, but thank you for all your hard work on the budget this year.
Thank you. Very welcome. Okay, on to strategic planning. Okay. We're in the development of component stage. On May 20th, the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee will be reviewing the current, from the current plan, the community vision statements, as well as the current library mission statement. What I wanted them to do is to look at, are they still relevant? Do we need to conduct a process of redoing the mission statement or community vision statements? Because if they're relevant, I should just continue to use them. So, the next thing that Jessica and I are working on completing is the community and library profiles. That is an appendix to the plan. What the community and library profiles help us to do is to the community profile shows demographically. Do the demographics support our goals and objectives? Are we able to justify our goals and objectives through how, the changing status of, use an example of the aging population, continues to increase. What are we going to do? Are our goals and objectives, are they supported by that need? Or are we, addressing that need and not only are we giving you that goal, but we can say, well, based on the demographics and the statistics for the city, it does support this goal and objective. Also, the library profile works in much the same way in that it shows the level of activity and usage and staffing structure that we have, and we can show how that has changed or grown, and how does that, again, support our goals and objectives. And we're hoping to, we're gonna begin, actually hoping to have those completed by the beginning of June. The completion of the goals and objectives is scheduled for the end of June. We wanted to have those profiles in place so that we could use the data that we have and you know, the reports that we're going to be given from the strategic planning consultant to develop those goals and objectives. Here comes my request. I'm requesting to have a special meeting on July 17th to give the board an opportunity to review and potentially give the pre-approval as explained in the process, the goals and objectives, and any other component we have ready by the beginning of July. The rationale for this is, again, if we give you the whole plan, lock, stock, and barrel all at once, it's easier if we've already said, oh, we've already looked at these goals and objectives. We've already looked at this part. Okay, I'm just looking at the plan as a whole now. So if we do it separately, it'll be easier for you to review the plan when you put it in the middle of August for hopefully approval at the September meeting. So I'm going to be willing to make a motion to accept the request for a special meeting in July.
That date is fixed.
Well, it's the third Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
By the conflict, so I won't be here either.
We can do it on another day. I just chose the third Wednesday because that's our typical cycle.
I'm gonna too, so I've got to be removed.
If you have it after the 20th.
You can participate remotely, correct?
As long as we can hear you.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to, what I could do is I could send you out an email and say, what are your availability in July? And say, if you're not available for the meeting, could you attend virtually? And then we could, you know, come up with a date. Again, we're in the middle of May, so.
what about a doodle poll?
Oh, good, that's good. I don't know how to
Did
say
I just volunteer? for
Yeah.
that?
Otherwise it'll be 30 emails. So, yeah.
I will be away from the 4th to the 20th. Okay. And we'll have it, and I'll be back after the 20th, so maybe later in the week.
In next week.
Well, what we'll do is, we'll send the doodle poll out to everybody and then, that way we'll have it all together, but, end of the month sounds, right now, sounds like it's a greater possibility, so.
Okay. Does anybody have any further discussion about anything?
At the last
Yeah.
meeting, we did ask for a written opinion from the city solicitor.
We did do
On the
that. I
responsibility.
haven't seen anything. We
That
got
has been requested, and it's on its way.
on its way.
We
Okay.
could have that at the full by tomorrow, which
Oh, right.
would have been nice to have it today, but
Yeah.
we'll circulate that, so we have.
Okay. Any other discussion or comments or questions? So can I get a motion to adjourn?
I moved.
Second,
Sarah made the motion.
You guys are.
It's non-debatable, so we have roll call.
Okay, roll call. Jim Connolly.
Yes.
Here's my page. Sorry. Kristen Donahue.
Yes.
Gary Gorski.
Yes.
Christian Hansen. Sarah Holden.
Yes.
Caroline McCarthy.
Yes.
Stephen Moore.
Yes.
Sarah Spalding.
Yes.
Mayor Sean Reardon.
Yes.
Madeline Witten.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to adjourn passes.